We are just days away from All In London. It's this coming Sunday, and we're going to do some predictions on the Hit in the Turnbuckle podcast today, as we are both attending the Hit in the Turnbuckle. No, we are both attending All In on Sunday. Is the problem child himself, Mr. Dave Robertson. Dave, A, welcome, and B, looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I think it was an excellent Dynamite as well.
Yes.
Just finished watching it, and yeah, I was really excited. Anyway, looking forward to Sunday, of course. But I think I think the build's been really good. I think the build we were talking about it last week. I think the build for the show has been better. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, last year was the first one. They were always going to sell more tickets, and it was always going to be a bigger show from that point of view because it was the first time it had been done.
Yeah.
But I think overall, in terms of the show that we're going to get and the build to the show, I think it's been better than last year. It's all been about the wrestling, the great matches. I think the Danielson swerve closing angle on Dynamite just sets it up perfectly for what will be one hell of a main event come Sunday night as well. So yeah, really looking forward to it, mate. I hope they don't add anything else or much else because it's set and with whatever we predict tonight. I haven't seen any collision spoilers, so
Ah, I'm
you might
about to
clue
spoil it.
me in
Yeah, yeah,
on the final participant in the London ladder match.
I
Uh,
will.
but I'm pretty sure I know who that is anyway. So
I
yeah,
agree.
hopefully they'll leave it as it is now because it looks a great card.
Yeah, 10 matches on the card. So as of as of recording this podcast, it is Thursday night. So at about 10 past 8. So have just checked socials to make sure nothing has been added. I've been spoiled by something, but we won't talk about that. But before we get into the matches, just a quick one. It was announced that All In next year is going to be in Dallas and it's going to come back in 2026. But Tony Khan has said that they're coming back to the UK next year for a show. What what if you're going to predict what show it is, what would you think it would be?
I think they'll do something at Craven Cottage. That's just my inkling. So
Hmm.
something next summer in Fulham's ground. I think that makes sense, given the fact that the Khans own it.
Mm.
Um, they might do a little bit of a mini tour with a Dynamite collision, a couple of house shows maybe. But I think given the fact that they have a football stadium in the middle of London, it would make sense to do like a smaller scale event, not an all in, but maybe one of the other pay-per-views or even one of the like the featured Dynamites. We get, the
Fire
special.
Fest, something like that.
Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah, I think something like that at Craven Cottage. I'm not sure what the capacity is there, but it's obviously a lot less than Wembley.
Shy of 20,000.
Yeah, so I think that would be something. I think I don't know if you're the same as me, but I'm guessing WrestleMania is going to be at Wembley or Spurs Stadium. Mate, is that going to be next year or the year after? Has it been announced for 2026 yet?
Nothing's been announced yet. They haven't even announced 2020. 2025, yeah, that's going to be announced. So yeah, 2026 is generally going to be announced normally around WrestleMania next year. There was a rumor that SummerSlam is coming over next summer
Yeah,
in the summer, which obviously kind of rules out All In, doesn't it? I mean, it makes sense.
maybe that's it then. Yeah, because we got Vegas, haven't we? WrestleMania's
Yes.
Vegas. So if WWE are doing a big show at either Wembley or at Spurs Stadium in the summer, then maybe AEW will do a smaller scale one.
Hmm.
That would be my guess. If I had to have a guess, I'd say some of the Craven Cottage.
Yeah, because they were originally going to bring Fyter Fest to the UK before the pandemic hit. So
Yeah, yeah.
it could be something like that, which would be interesting. Nevertheless, it's always good to see wrestling over here. And I think they could have done like a Forbidden Door event with a lot of the British promotions and had
Yeah,
like
maybe.
an AEW type dream matches with the likes of Progress and Rev Pro. But we'll see. But it would be good to have AEW back. And nevertheless, I'm looking forward to Sunday. I thought you was going to say I'm really looking forward to Sunday, Ad, because I'm going to see you for the first time in a year.
Yeah, it's been a while since we saw each other face to face. Yeah,
Nearly a year. It was a year. It was a gold rush. Okay, no,
yeah, of course.
September. We were parading our title very proudly. Don't know
Yeah,
about.
it'd be good. It would be good to see you, mate, and Rach, and yeah, it'd be good to see anybody as well that watches our little podcast and
Yeah.
any opportunities to say hello.
Yep. Please do. We will be queuing up for War Dogs at the blacksmith apparel thing. So if you're around and you see us, I may have the new turnbuckle T-shirt by then. If not, I will have it at some point on Sunday because I'm meeting the guy that's making it for me. So we will have I'll have at least one bit of new merch ready. It's a prototype design. Just make sure we like it before we order the whole team one each. But anyway, let's move on to the show. We'll start with the pre-show. So at the moment, Zero Hour is going to be 2 hours, but there's only got one match. So my assumption, Dave, will be if they're going to add any matches, it's going to be to that. But the only match that has been announced for the pre-show is Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway versus Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii. And the winning team will choose the stipulation between Nightingale and Statlander at All Out. Where is your money going on that one?
It's got to be Ishii and Willow.
I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Do you disagree?
Yeah. I generally think these type of. I suppose it's going to depend on what who's going to win the match at All Out, really. Generally, these are the types of matches that the heels win, or if you get these advantage matches that you get, the general thing is the heels win the advantage, just because it's a heel versus face, storyline. So I'm going for Statlander and Hathaway. The only reason is I think Willow wins at All Out, so that's why I'm going for it.
See, I'm the other way. I think Statlander wins it all out, which is why I think they'll get the stip. So yeah,
All right.
that's a good start. At least we got
Brilliant.
to debate straight away.
Great. Here's another one. For a bonus point, what is the stipulation going to be?
Um, Something like a street fight. I'd say I think that we've seen Willow in a few of those, haven't we?
Mhm.
Um, Perhaps I don't know if we've seen her in a single street fight. I'm thinking we have. We've definitely seen her in tag street fights. There was one with Ruby Soho, wasn't there,
Mhm.
when they partnered? So I would say something like that. Yeah. Where is All Out?
Oh, Dave, you're asking me. You're the AEW guru, my friend. Hang on. Let
Yeah.
me.
Not sure where it is. It's Chicago, something like a Chicago street fight or a Philly street
It
fight.
is in Chicago, funnily
There
enough.
you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going
Chicago street fight.
I'm going lights out.
Okay.
Haven't seen one of them for a while that I can recall. Anyway.
See, this might eat into. I haven't wrote down these predictions, so I'm just going to very much say how I
Yeah.
feel, and we'll get to the main event in due
Mhm.
course.
Yeah.
But I think the outcome of that could lead to a lights out match at all out. So
Yeah. I think I know
yeah,
where you're going with that.
yeah, we'll discuss it more when we get to it. But yeah, something like a hardcore match, something no rules. I
Yeah.
think that regardless of who wins and who gets to pick the stipulation, I think that's what we'll get at all out, and it'll be a great match. And that's what I like that what they've done as well. They've set up a few things for all out
Mm.
and a
Yeah.
few things off the back of what happens at all in as well. So yeah, I think we got an extra week in between all in and all out, which
Yeah.
helped.
2 weeks this time. Yes. Yeah.
It was probably a bit too much of a tight turnaround last year.
Okay.
But I think they've spaced it a little bit better this year, which allows you another week of television as well to set up more
The
for the
rest.
show. So I think they've got the balance a bit better this year.
Yeah, certainly have, and we've certainly got the balance of picking different people in this match as well, which is good. It's always good. I'm running the list off of Wikipedia, so I'm not running it in any form of match order. It's just the match order that's presented to me by Wikipedia, just in case anyone, not that anyone does moan about it, but it's just if I'm picking matches over certain matches, it's not through choice. By the way, if you want to watch something really funny, go and watch Brian Danielson on. If you go to YouTube, go on to Lad Bible and watch Brian Danielson try British and American foods and decide what one he likes. Obviously, he's vegan, like your good self, Dave. It's quite an interesting one. You should go and watch it yourself as well. It's
Well,
quite funny. Anyway, moving on. The next match on the list is actually the AEW Women's World Championship match between Timeless Tony Storm, Mariah May. I'm really what I've loved about this, Dave, and quite a lot of them because you mentioned how the storylines have got better. This has been near perfectly done by AEW. Obviously, Mariah May winning the Owen, literally the first thing that she done when she won the Owen was attacked um, Timeless Tony Storm. Um, and had it set out that that was the plan all along, was to make her, get her basically in with Tony Storm. And the moment she had the opportunity to turn on her, she did. The whole story's been great. Tony's the character, the way that she's evolved, the Tony Storm character's also been great in this. I still love Tony Storm, and I still want her to hold on to the title. I don't think she will, but I'm gonna go with my heart and not my head in this one, and I want her to retain, so I'm gonna say she's gonna retain the title.
Okay, okay. Well, we're going to disagree on that one as well on that result. But as you say, the build has been near
Yeah,
perfect. I think one of the best women feuds, certainly in AEW, if not in wrestling, in recent memory for me. Um, I think RJ City has had a lot to do with that. I think he's been writing a lot, and we know he was helping a lot with
yeah.
the vignettes and the timeless Tony Storm stuff initially. But according to Mariah May, when she was talking on Busted Open, she's been working closely with RJ City. So he's obviously a very talented writer, wrestling fan, and great addition to the company. So I think he's got a lot to do with the success of this. But I actually feel although Mariah's from the UK,
Yeah,
I think that just the popularity of Tony and the fact of just what Mariah's done to Tony, I think Tony will be getting the huge reaction
yeah,
similar to what we saw on Dynamite, really.
yeah.
Even though it's in London on Sunday, I think the reaction is going to be similar. But I do see Mariah May getting her all in Wembley moment.
Hmm.
I do think they'll be crowning a new champion and making a star. I mean, she's already a star,
Yeah.
even though she's been presented and given everything that's happened so far. But I think taking the title at a big show like All In, I think that just makes her. Whether we see them go back and forth for the next few months and Tony ultimately gets it back, I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, uh, to make it interesting, yeah, I'm going with the opposite to your prediction. I'm going with Mariah May to take the championship on Sunday.
I did say that I'm going with my heart. My head does say Mariah May wins.
Yeah.
I'm going with
But
that.
and if it was like the face heel dynamics were different, you would say yeah, definitely. But it's
Yeah.
similar to what we saw with Soraya last year. Um, but yeah, it's a hard one to call. And as I said, I wouldn't be disappointed at all if Tony did retain because I'm a huge fan of the character and the work that she's been doing. I think she's gone from a position where there were a few times early on. I was a little bit concerned
Hmm.
about that she's such a talented performer, and I was a little bit concerned that they weren't going to get the best out of her in AEW, but they certainly have. She's a bigger star now than she's ever been in the world of wrestling,
Yeah.
and she's a lot of hard work of her own. Obviously, she's always had the talent when it comes to in-ring stuff, but the character stuff has just been sensational. And as I say, the writing has been phenomenal as well. So, yeah, but I think Mariah will stands to gain more, and taking that title against this version of Tony Storm can only, kickstart her, young career really.
Yeah, definitely so. I agree with that as much as I said Tony would win. Well, I say my heart says Tony, but my head says Mariah. But we'll see what happens. A match on the card next. Couple of gimmick matches that we've got. This one is the coffin match. Jack Perry, Darby Allin. Rumors of Sting as well being involved in this. Again, a match with great build. It goes back to blood and guts. How this all started, obviously Darby Allin was trying to get us set him on fire, pretty much, for
Yeah.
this. If we're going to see, and we're going to probably see a lot of crazy stuff during the night. We haven't got Stadium Stampede this year. We do have ladder matches and gauntlet matches. I'm assuming this is going to be the one. The ladder match is going to have a lot of insane spots, but I think when it comes to the crazy spot fest of a match, it's going to be this one. I'm not. I think Darby Allin is probably actually going to win the world title off of whoever. We'll get to who we think is going to win the main event. I personally think Darby's going to win the world title. I think he's got the Grand Slam. He's got the shot, I
Yeah.
believe. I think he wins it then. So I think Jack Perry retains, and I kind of want him to because I think we're still very early on in Jack Perry's reign. So some of it can be too early. For him to drop it. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet, because obviously he's been with the elite and they've been doing all that stuff, which has been really good. And obviously, we know what happened last year. But I think that's probably worked out for the best for Jack Perry. And I still want him to hold on to this title a little bit longer.
Yeah, and if you look at the position that Jack Perry was in without the Punk stuff or anything, but he was on the
Yeah.
pre-show last year defending the FTW title.
Mhm.
12 months later, he's a huge star for AEW now. He's
Yeah.
elevated himself um, alongside the elite TNT champion. It's his first real defense, his first pay-per-view defense.
Yeah.
He's just unveiled the new title as well, the new kind of black version of the championship,
Yeah.
which I really think's really cool. I'm a big fan of that, and it suits him. It suits the scapegoat. I think him coming out with the scapegoat mask and the new title and his new theme and his new look. I think that it's all come together really well for Jack Perry in 2024. I definitely think he'll be retaining the title. Not so sure about Derby. I see where you're coming from,
Mhm.
and we'll get to that. Perhaps we'll circle back to this when we're talking about Danielson later.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I certainly think Jack will be retired. I think this will be a great match, but I don't think the finish is in too much doubt. I think Jack Perry retains.
Yeah, me too. I did actually forget a match. There was a match above that actually. But because I know people, if they watch this and they go on Wikipedia, go, that wasn't the order. So apologies, I did miss the match, and it is a match that's, to be honest, we've said about how the women's match has been booked immensely. The American Championship, as it's now booked. I mean, if you saw the promo just last night on Dynamite between MJF and Will Ospreay. I mean, MJF tries that low-hanging fruit. Will Ospreay cooked him a new one. Obviously, MJF originally beat Will Ospreay. It was the international championship at the time. MJF has gone on to beat Michael Oku, who incidentally, congratulations, did have a dark match last night against Serpentico. Two other British wrestlers were on Collision, Dave. I am going to spoil you. It was Nina Samuels and Kid Lycos too were on Collision this past week. But going back to this, they had an incredible 60-minute match on Dynamite. I'm torn on this. I don't know who's going to win. My assumption, because they had the Danielson bit on Dynamite when he said to Osprey, "Do it, basically do it," which is hit the Tiger Driver 91. My assumption is it ends with Osprey hitting that Tiger Driver 91 and pinning um, MJF and winning the championship. I know it means quite a short reign from MJF, but because the winner of this takes on Pac in 2 weeks, All Out, for me, that's the better match. But again, like what you said, I wouldn't be surprised either way or unhappy either way if MJF retains. I just can't see it given what has happened in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah. It could go either way, obviously,
Yeah.
uh, but I think given the fact again where it is, what they've done with the American title, that to me seemed like a temporary
Yeah.
situation, and one where Will gets that big moment again in
Mhm.
London
Yeah.
in front of the huge crowd at Wembley, and he regains his international title. He hits the Tiger Driver. I think they've set that up really well. He hasn't used it since he used it on Danielson. He
Yeah.
has threatened to use it a couple of times, maybe a
Yeah.
couple of times too many in the early days of not using it.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, certainly in the last few weeks, it's been made a much bigger deal. Given, as you quite rightly say, what Daniel said to Will at the end when he was getting kind of patched back up
Mhm.
to hit it. I think that's the way it's going. That's certainly what they want us to think anyway. So maybe they swerve us and go the other way, and MJF wins, and the heat that he would get at that Wembley crowd would be pretty phenomenal, to be honest. He
Mm.
would get booed out of the stadium. So yeah, they that's when I when I said earlier about it could go either way. I could totally see them doing that because they've set it up so that anyone would think Tiger Driver is the finish.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they'll zag when we expect them to zig. But for me, my prediction's Osprey.
Could they do it where he does hit the Tiger Driver and then Don Callis or Carl Fletcher pulls the referee out?
Yeah, and we spoke about that.
Mm,
spoke about the potential of Carl Fletcher, Mark Davis. We haven't seen for a while as well.
yeah.
There's all kind of external forces. Interesting that Callis wasn't on Dynamite, was he? Don't know whether he's on Collision.
No.
But yeah, we haven't got. I don't think Takeshita's over. I'm not sure if he's injured.
He's
Uh,
actually, funny enough, he's just been announced for the new promotion that Scott D'Amore is doing.
okay.
There's
Okay,
promotion in
Canada.
Canada. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And that
Um, yeah, it's strange we haven't seen much of Takeshita lately, particularly going into.
been in the G1.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. But certainly Callis and Carl Fletcher have been on TV, and yeah, maybe there's something there. There's a number of people that could involve with it. That could involve Oku in it. You know, Oku could cost Osprey, and we could see something else. But given what you said about Pac, I think Pac versus Osprey. Um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed with Pac MJF though, to be
Oh,
honest. So uh, there's no real loser in this as an AEW fan. But I think Will gets his win back. I think the MJF took the first match. I think Will takes the second match and
well, yeah,
gets the
exactly. Yeah,
title.
yeah. I do. I don't. I do. I think that's what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised though if they did swerve it and
Yeah, yeah.
give it. I mean, Osprey did have his moment last year, as we know, but
I think it's the hardest one to call, and which is strange because you wouldn't necessarily expect that, given the fact that it's in London and as I say, the build with the Tiger Driver. But that could all be a
yeah.
way of diverting, doing something that we don't expect.
Here's something that you wouldn't expect, which could happen. I'm going to throw it out there right now. Adam Cole costs Will Ospreay in a match and reunites with MJF
Yeah, yeah,
as a heel team.
yeah. I heard MJF talking on Wrestle Talk about Adam Cole, and he was seemingly like I don't know, he's really going in on Adam Cole, which that could just be classic MJF. But he's basically said we won't be seeing Adam Cole again. He's killed him, he's murdered him, and we won't be hearing from him in a promo. We won't be seeing him in a match. He's gone. Which just seemed a little bit, even for MJF, that just seemed like he was really hammering home that point a little bit too much.
Yeah,
So, yeah, you're right. We could, and apparently there was a rumor doing the rounds that he's not far off an in-ring return.
yeah,
Uh, he's Eddie Kingston's a while off, as we saw last week,
yes.
but when it comes to Adam Cole, I don't think he's too far off. So, yeah, we could see that. There was those comments about the Osprey said about them jerking each other off in regards to the main event of All In last year. So there has been reference to Adam Cole, on Dynamite this week. So
Yeah.
yeah, you could be right there as well, mate. It'd be fascinating one to see. But if I've just got to go one-on-one match and nothing, no nothing going on, no interference, straight finish, I think we'll see Osprey using the Tiger Driver and picking up the win.
Yeah, me too. I've gone with that as well. So anyway, back to the scheduled programming. Now I've got that match in because as I said, I did forget it. It was sandwiched in between Tony Storm and Jack Perry. The TBS Championship is next on the list on this. Mercedes Moné, Britt Baker, DMD. Again, another one that's had a good build. I don't know. I don't know if I've got an excitement factor for this. I think it's had good build. I'm not massively invested in it, like, oh my God, this is going to be great. I mean, it's got all the makings of a good match. I mean, the thing that I'm concerned about the most is both Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné have been out with injuries. Mercedes hasn't looked fantastic in the in the matches that we've seen. Britt Baker does have a tendency of being a little sloppy in the ring, a little bit from some of the matches that she's been in. Camille's the big it factor on here. I'm very, very high up on Camille. I've already, as I said to you before, I want her away from Mercedes as soon as possible and let her do what she's got to do. I'm guessing Mercedes Monet retains, but I do potentially see a return for Jamie Hayter at this point.
Yeah, I think they'll do something with Jamie Hayter and Saraya.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Jamie will get her Wembley moment, whether that's on the pre-show.
Mm.
or whether that's on the main show. I don't necessarily expect her to get involved with this, but as you say,
No.
with Camille at ringside, there is that, option that Britt could even the sides, and obviously
Yeah.
Britt and Jamie were aligned with each other
Yeah.
for, years, really,
Yeah.
the start of AEW. So, yeah, that could be the way they go. I actually think though that Monet picks up the win.
Yeah. Me too.
This is my easiest prediction, if you like. If I
Mm.
had to look at a banker,
Yeah.
I would look at Monet winning this as one of the bankers on the show. Um, I, I think I think she's going to have quite a long reign, and I know what you're saying about her matches. Perhaps some of the early ones did underwhelm. I thought she had a pretty good match against Sheeta,
Yeah.
so hopefully she's just hitting her straps and coming into her best kind of form, ring
Yeah.
shape at the right time, pre the biggest show of AEW's calendar. So I expect this to be a good match. Do I care about? I do. I think it'll be a good match. I think
Mhm.
it will be one of the top women's matches that AEW can put on. Um, so yeah, I'm not looking forward to. I mean, it's got stiff competition really compared to
Yeah.
some of the other matches that have had arguably a better build or a longer build or more heated build. But I think this will be a really good match. I just expect Monet to still have that TBS championship when the night's over.
Yeah. I think Mercedes Moné wins. Here's a real outside fantasy booking thing because we do like to fantasy book on the channel. Mercedes Moné wins the match, is holding a title up, and out comes Becky Lynch, who has no contract currently at the moment. And yeah,
That would be a huge shock. That would be a
yeah,
huge shock for me. I don't expect that, but
no,
the fact that she's out of contract, the possibility exists, and Tony Khan's certainly got enough money to make that happen, even if it was a short-term deal. If she was going to do a couple of appearances with AEW, I don't think that would stop WWE from taking her back. I think it's a very
yeah,
different time. I think if that potential situation arose, um, I don't know if Triple H would give his blessing as such, but I don't think there'd be anything they would do massively to block it. Be good for wrestling fans. Be a great moment as well at Wembley. But I think the woman that we're most likely to see in some kind of return or surprise appearance is Jamie.
yeah,
I don't know whether it's going to be in this match or whether we get Saraya coming out on the microphone saying, last year I won the title and
yeah,
this year I'm not even on the show type of thing. And yeah, maybe we get something there instead.
yeah, definitely. So I don't necessarily think Becky Lynch at all. It was literally
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
throwing it out there
That's part of the fun of doing these prediction shows and stuff because you never know what you're going to expect particularly with AEW. Um, with WWE, we've seen some big surprises in the past couple of years over there as well. So um, those possibilities, the fact that they exist and the fact that in the past you would have just ruled it out, Becky Lynch, huge name in WWE. There's
yeah,
no chance we're going to get a seat in AEW. Well, actually, it wouldn't be a massive surprise, and it's the same when they go from AEW to WWE. There is I don't know, open door policy is probably wrong, but certainly the potential opportunities for those wrestlers to make those appearances, make that money, and appear in either promotion.
that will make that Monet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, we'll find out.
She said, I haven't read the story fully, but there were plans for her to appear at WrestleMania. I don't know if you've read that, but
Yeah, she said that she went to, I can't remember the WrestleMania 39 venue now. You have to forgive me on that. But she said that she was there and she said, "Oh, I have to return here." And then she went to All In and that was history, so to speak. So
yeah, yeah,
here we go. I've never again, this is not because she's in AEW. I've never been a big Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné fan. Not for her ring work. I think attitude is the
yeah.
the big thing. From what anyway, but that's
The
just me
reason,
personally.
the reason I bring that up though is the fact that
Yeah,
obviously both options were available to her.
yeah,
Both companies had offers in
yeah.
place. She could decide. So that's great for wrestlers. That's great for
Mm,
fans. That's great for the business.
exactly that. Yeah, she did have, and it's like she said, she was kind of all set until she come to Wembley last year, and then it
Yeah,
was change of plan and she wanted to go and she will. I'm no doubt she'll be great. as you say, it could well have been the ring rust from these injury. You know, it does happen. You do get it. That's why I'm surprised we haven't seen more of her in the ring
Yeah,
leading up to this.
I think she's a much better heel than she's babyface.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I think that transition's helped, and even Camille being at the side, I think that's worked as well. And did you say hopefully a short-term thing for Camille because she's a potential massive star in her own right, and she's already like the longest reigning NWA Women's Champion of all time, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so she's on the cusp of greatness herself. Given how given everything else that's been going on, obviously Tony Storm and Mariah, um, and Sasha transitioning to a heel. I think having Camille at her side and featuring on TV week in, week out and seeing some of the kind of feats of strength that she can do as well and the way that she performs, introducing her to a potential new audience. I think it's the right thing in the short term, but long term, yeah, we could be talking about a show at Craven Cottage or maybe All In 2 years' time if they come back to the UK and Camille's the one that's going for the title or defending the AEW Women's title.
Yeah, definitely so. She is a blue chipper. I can't wait to have her, as you say, doing it on her own, or even, as part of a group, but she'll be the main person on it rather than the muscle. That will be great. Yeah, it could well be when they return in All in 2026 back to Wembley that she is the champion or she's going for it. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Camille's fantastic. But yeah, we both agreed Monet retains in this one. Potentially Jamie Hayter comes out. So the next one, it's difficult for us to, when I say difficult for us to predict, but we don't know all of the competitors in the gauntlet match. I've only literally got Cassidy because he's going to start it, so we know. So wouldn't that be great? All in starts and Cassidy comes out. It would be like watching an old school version of Dynamite. Cassidy's in it, Briscoe's in it, O'Reilly's in it, Evil Uno is in it, and Hangman Adam Page is in it. I think I know where you're going with this one because I think we're going to have the same idea. Um, we don't know the other 12 or so competitors. We're expecting one or two, maybe three or four surprises in this. One of them is potentially Ricochet. I would like it personally if they gave him more of a intro, not a match that he comes out, like a, I don't know, what would you call it? One of those that he just comes out like the latest signing kind of thing, rather than
Yeah, okay.
going into the match. Because if he doesn't win it, I don't, I think that sets him up off the wrong foot. I know they do it in the Royal Rumble sometimes, and people come out and they don't win it, and things like that. But I would rather he gets introduced separately to this. My pick is Adam Page because I think we're going down the same route at All Out.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot to consider in this, and it could go a
Mm.
number of ways. Adam Page has got to be one of the favorites. I think Orange Cassidy's a favorite as well, given the fact that how he was in that match to determine that it would be a guaranteed. I mean, it sounds like it would be a disadvantage, or it is a disadvantage to be first, but I suppose it also guarantees that you're in the gauntlet.
Yeah.
One fall for the finish, isn't it? To the finish, and
Mhm.
it's not like an elimination style. It's whoever gets the first win. I'm assuming that's the rules of it. The being number one is an advantage because you're guaranteed to be in the match, whereas there could be people waiting backstage, in kayfabe, that the match has ended before they get an opportunity
Yeah,
to
two
enter.
wrestlers two wrestlers begin the match with entrants coming in at timed intervals with a maximum number of 21. Is not 21 in this one. It is a one fall match that can end at any time via pinfall or submission in the ring, even before the entire gauntlet field has entered.
Yeah, I thought so. So that's why, that although it's like entering first in something like this, you could potentially have to beat 20 people. You also in the match, you're guaranteed a place and you've got an opportunity to win it. So I think Orange will be one of the favorites as well. I agree with you saying about Ricochet, and we saw it with Christian Cage and we saw it with Swerve, how
Mhm.
they were introduced to AEW as the new signing.
Yeah.
Um, I actually think they could do something with after the Osprey match. His music could hit and he could appear on the ramp
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
he could just do a stare down with Osprey
Yeah.
because there's history there, and I think the fans would love that. a callback to their last match. I think it was 2016. We spoke about it
Yeah.
recently. Obviously went viral and caused a lot of debate and discussion, good and bad.
Hmm.
So I think as it's pretty much confirmed that Ricochet has signed with the company, I think a match with Will Ospreay is a given at some point. How soon they do that, I don't know. But yeah, I do agree with you. At the same time, eh, we've got to pick a winner. Given the fact that we have heard that he's debuting or that he signed with the company, and it is a show of such magnitude, I think I'm going to put my eggs in the Ricochet basket and predict him as the winner of the gauntlet.
Okay.
Um, Adam Page is a close second. Adam Cole as well. I know we spoke about
Ooh,
him.
good shout.
It could go a variety of ways. I think we all know Evil Uno ain't going to win it, and there's a couple there that you just discount. But even Mark Briscoe, to be honest, with the work he's been doing lately
Yeah.
and how popular he is, I mean, would that be a bad move to give Briscoe that opportunity? Um, yeah, but I think I've spoke long enough. I'll let you predict your winner, but I'm going for Ricochet.
I've gone with Adam Page because I kind of want to, we're going to hit that main event later and everything that happens in that. I wouldn't rule out, and it's only because he's been on Collision as well, a gauntlet arrival of Tate Mayfair's. He was on Collision a
Yeah,
month or two back. Everybody hates him, so you get a great reaction from the crowd. He's doing progress the next day, but yeah, I wouldn't rule out that. I do kind of agree with the Ricochet. I'd like to see him come out of Ospreay. I prob against Ospreay. I do agree with you in the sense that I do think he's going to be in the casino gauntlet match. Probably the last entrant, I would have thought.
yeah,
Because he doesn't, at least with that, he doesn't have to be pinned to lose.
yeah,
He can be booked straight. In my if I'm going with so I'm going for Hangman Page because it's one fall. At least he stays strong and he's not the one taking the fall. Someone like Evil Uno will probably take the pin.
yeah. That might be why he's in there. I mean, I think we'll see. I mean, we've got Okada and Claudio. They're obviously not finished with each other.
No,
They went to a time limit draw on
what match?
Collision. Now, it wouldn't surprise me to see them in the match, but at the same time, I wouldn't expect either of them to win it.
Hmm.
I think with Hangman, that would, again, we're talking about the swerve. So, again, we can circle back in a little bit, but that depends on who you think is going to win the main event and timescales as to, defenses and when certain things are going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, because obviously Page and Strickland are going to face each other again soon, and the build for that has been incredible as well. Really, the fact that they've managed to keep that ticking along so nicely in the background
Yeah,
has been really impressive. Um, yeah, we'll get to the Danielson match before we talk further on that.
we do. So I'm going for Hangman. You're going for Ricochet. Probably the match I could give two shits about, not because I've not liked the learning tree with Jericho. Big Bill's massively over. If anyone you don't know, you
Yeah,
need to. Hook got booed out of the building this week on AEW TV because he was going against Big Bill. Jericho versus Hook for the FTW Championship. If Hook loses, he can never challenge for the FTW title as long as Jericho's champion. I love the learning tree. I don't care for this. Hook wins, and that's kind of me done on that.
yeah. So I like the learning tree.
Yeah,
I
me too.
like Big Bill,
Mhm.
and I really like the Bad Apple. Um, I I just don't want them to be feuding with Hook anymore. I know they said the stipulation is if Hook loses, he leaves the Jericho Vortex forever. I kind of want that to happen for everyone involved, for the learning tree and for Hook. But that would mean that Hook doesn't win.
Yeah,
And everything to me suggests that Hook is just going to be forever linked to that title. And if it did get retired, that it would be Hook the person to do that. But maybe not. So I am torn with this one. Not sure. I also think about Jericho, and although he's had no problem putting people over, younger talent, we've seen him lose to the likes of Action Andretti
yeah,
and you know younger stars, and people like Ricky Starks, people like Orange Cassidy when they were on the ascension. So I don't think him losing 2 years on the bounce at Wembley would be a massive problem for him, given how many years he's been doing it, and he's kind of he's already a legend. If people love him, hate him, whatever, he's had two Hall of Fame careers, really.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think there's anything to worry about on that front. But it's just, does Jericho go to back all-ins and lose? So I'm actually going to go to make it interesting. I'll go with Jericho for this one.
Okay, brilliant. We'll see that. And Hook then can never go for the title as long as Jericho is champion. We will
Yeah.
see on that one. So the freeway tag team match for the AEW tag
I'll
team
just
champion. Oh,
I'll just add on that, sorry. Just while I'm thinking about it, we haven't seen Samoa Joe for a few weeks, but we did see a really good Joe Shibata Hook combination. Maybe that's Hook's direction for the foreseeable, to go into the trios world for a little
yeah.
while. So again, that would help if he didn't win the title.
Yeah,
Carry on,
agreed.
sorry.
Absolutely agreed. No, no, good point. Good point indeed. Or maybe Samoa Joe comes out to even the odds uh,
Yeah,
for Hook. Who knows? Yeah, the freeway match. So last year, obviously, we got the Young Bucks versus FTR. This year, we're getting it again, but we're adding the acclaimed in for the AEW World Tag Team Championships held currently by the Young Bucks. Um, I don't know. We haven't seen a lot of the Bucks now. I don't know whether that's contractual thing, limited dates. I'm not quite sure what the reasons are for that. They've been here. They've been a bit here and a bit there. Um, Obviously, FTR probably still the best tag team in the world. I would imagine. The acclaimed, I don't know. I'm going a bit stale on those, and I have been for a while. I don't think the acclaimed win the match. I just don't. I can't call it between the other two. Who won the Wembley last year?
FTR.
In that case, and thanks for reminding me, that's made my mind up. The Bucks retain for me.
Yeah, Bucks retained for me as well. We saw that moment last year where after the match, FTR offered the hands and the Bucks walked off.
Hmm.
Um, I think we'll see something similar, maybe a little play on that.
Hmm.
Um, I think actually Acclaimed will split up at Wembley. I think the
Really?
time's come. Yeah, I think the time. I really do. Um, they've
Wow.
still been getting decent reactions, and I don't. I imagine they're still shifting a fair bit of merch, and we'll see that for ourselves on Sunday.
Yeah.
Um, I think the time for Bowens to go on his own is now. I mean, I like Castor, I don't mind him, but I think Bowens is a star. I think some of the singles matches he had a while ago now when Castor was out injured
Yeah.
and really made people sit up and take notice of Anthony Bowens. And whether it's involved Daddy Ass in the split, I'm not sure, but that's my kind of bold prediction for the weekend, that the acclaimed actually
Interesting.
go their separate ways, whether that's during the match or after the match. Um, yeah, and also the Bucks retain partly because FTR got the win last year.
Yeah.
I think Acclaimed are in it to eat the pin or to take the loss in some respect to protect FTR. I think the Bucks walk out with the championship still, so we're agreed on that one.
Yeah, we are agreed on that one indeed. You mentioned earlier that you wasn't sure who was going to be in the trios championship, or you hadn't seen Collision. Who was your pick? Who was your guess?
Oh, well, I was expecting first that like Death Triangle in their entirety would be involved, but I think it was Pac in the BCC, wasn't it? Um, and they're up against Top Flight.
Yeah, this week on Collision. Yes,
Yeah, so I would expect Pac and BCC to win that.
you'd be correct. They did.
Yeah.
They would. They did win that. Loving this match. I mean, fate. I mean, a fatal four-way. I mean, this is going to be. This is going to be nuts.
Was it,
Obviously, Christian
I'm taking
Kane,
it to Yuta and Claudio, or was it Yuta and Mox? Or
Yuta, and Claudio and Pac
yeah, I'm not sure where Mox is at the minute.
having a break.
Okay.
Yeah, he was given time off. He was meant to have time off when Punk got all that stuff happened the first time, and he was asked to
Got you.
carry the company again. So he did, and he done it up until recently, and now he's been away. Hey, listen, he could come back. They're all in. We don't know.
A potential surprise for the gauntlet match.
Could be an outside shot there with Mox. This is going to be a nuts match, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest. Ladder matches, Christian, Killswitch, and Nick Wayne. Obviously, Mother Wayne's going to be. I'm guessing. Well, part of me thinks she's going to end up taking some kind of bump in that match. Um, you've got the Bang Bang Gang, Juice, Colton, and Austin. You've got the House of Black. I mean, this. I don't know. This could be the show stealer. I'm pretty sure there's going to be. To be honest, I would imagine there'll be matches better than this on the card. But I mean, you look at these teams, it's just going to be crazy. Um, I think the Patriarchy lose. I can't see Pac and the Combat Club winning this just because they were kind of throwing. If it was Death Triangle, maybe, but because they were throwing together last minute, I can't see him doing it. I would like. I'm gonna I'm gonna say the Bang Bang Gang will win, but part of me wants the House of Black.
Yeah, my prediction's House of Black. I think Patriarchy haven't had the title as long, but I just think there
No.
will be some title changes, and this is one for me that given the fact that it's essentially a fatal four-way,
Mm.
um, they can do it in, and it's a ladder match. They can do it in a way to protect everyone, really.
Do you think this is where Kill Switch finally switches? Because there's been a lot of time where he's not really put the belt on him, has he? He's kind of always had it with Marvel Wayne, and it's kind of, he's always kind of outcast Kill Switch a little bit. So could Kill Switch potentially walk away from the patriarchy here?
He could, but I think they need to heat that up a little bit more
Mm.
because they haven't really done too much with it. I know,
Yeah.
the subtle, well, not so subtle really, because she's been carrying the belt and the commentators have been alluding to it.
Hmm.
But there hasn't really been much else in terms of dissension with Kill Switch. So no, I don't think that'll happen yet. I think that will happen at some point. Um, I think the House of Black are going to get back on top of the trios, division in this match. I think they're at full strength. Whether I don't know how far Julia is off a return, so whether we'll see
Hopes.
the full year. So maybe if Mother Wayne's getting involved, we might see Julia
Good
get
shout.
huge, huge reaction.
Yeah.
Um, I think Pac and Claudio have got unfinished business still, although Claudio is kind of still embroiled in the Okada
Mhm.
situation, as we said.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so many fascinating things that can fall out of this match as well, given the competitors that are in it, both from a singles, tag, or trios point
Yeah.
of view. But I think really out of all the four teams, the House of Black are the strongest unit in many ways. I think were they the first trios champion? Oh, they weren't the first, were they? But
No, they were
they were
recent though.
long. Yeah, he won the first one. Was it Death Triangle?
Might have been. I
I know it was the Bucks and Kenny, weren't they? And then they had to
thought so.
relinquish them, yeah. And then Death Triangle won, and then they had the best of seven, and then it went on to be
That's it.
House of Black. And for a while during that reign, we never thought the House of Black would lose those titles. And I don't think they have really had that same aura since they did. So I think putting those titles back on them um, could really, pay dividends for the whole trios division as well. Um, so yeah, that would be my choice. And I wouldn't have been disappointed if Top Flight would have been the fourth team in this. I think they're a great team as well, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that match on Collision. But yeah, those are the type of matches that I want to be seeing on weekly television, and let's get the trios division back to where it should be and where it started off in the company as really a focal point.
Yeah, definitely. So I totally agree with that. Just coincidentally, while we've been doing this, Tony Khan's been doing a media call. Just giving you some highlights of this quickly. He said that Ricky Starks is still under contract with AEW, so there's yeah, not saying he is going to be at but there's potential there. He did also say that there were legalities with their domestic TV distribution that prevented them from airing AEW live in the UK this week with Dynamite. So there was obviously a TV issue. He hasn't ruled out doing doing the TV show and a pay-per-view again next year in 2025 with Double or Nothing touted as a potential shot. Whenever Double or Nothing is, I don't know
Yeah.
what sort of month or year that is. I don't know. I think that was everything he has mentioned, and he hasn't ruled out also going to Australia next year and doing a pay-per-view. So we'll have to wait and see. That should all be fun. Looking for that. Speaking of injuries, just quickly, Jay White, what about him? Does he get involved? I don't know what happened with
Yeah,
him.
I'm not sure how far off he is,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, again, another one potentially for the gauntlet match. I mean, we saw a similar finish though in terms of Juice coming back and helping
Yeah.
the Backbone Gang win um, at a recent pay-per-view. So I don't think they'd necessarily do the same finish. But I don't know how far Jay is. Hopefully he's back soon, regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if I had any guess on somebody that was going to make a shock appearance or get involved with a finish, it may be Julia.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Right, okay. Here we go. Main event, title career for the AEW World Championship match. Swerve Daniels, and this is again has been built fantastically well from AEW. And this is the thing, we've said this week after week, they get criticized for not doing storylines. I mean, they have done some great stories over the last 6 to 8 months. You could even go back to the Devil one. It's just unfortunate how it panned out after and with the injuries that hit to Adam Cole and
Yeah, yeah.
MJF. They had some really
That's a really good point.
yeah, they had some really, that was brilliant until the end, unfortunately, due to what was happening. But anyway, nevertheless, yeah, this has been built fantastically well. Again, this is one that, you could go either way. The reason why I'm going for Swerve to hold on is I got what you said earlier on about potential lights out match at All Out, and then I'm thinking, well, perhaps Adam Page wins that gauntlet. But that doesn't give him it all out though, does it? Does that that gives him a shot at any point, right?
Yeah, and I don't think,
Future AEW World Championship match.
yeah,
So there we go. That's my pick. I think Danielson, he's working without a contract as well. I know he's going to get a big production style entrance, he was saying as well. So yeah, as much as I don't want to see him lose, I'd rather see him win and drop the title at a later date. I don't like them doing that. Because again, I'm a big stickler for prestigious titles and longish reigns. I mean, I'm not saying every reign has got to be as long as Romans and all of that sort of stuff, but I do like having quite lengthy title reigns if you can do it. I get the sentiment. He's never won the AEW title. Get the fact that we don't want to see him go, but for me, I don't want them to take the title off a Swerve just to put it on somebody else in a couple of weeks' time.
yeah, I get that, and I'll get to Danielson in a minute. But if that were to happen, then Swerve retains.
Yeah,
You're expecting Hangman to challenge Swerve at All Out,
potentially.
but Swerve wins that and loses the title to Darby at Grand Slam.
Yes, I would
Yeah,
say. Yeah, I mean, if Hangman, but the only thing I would say about that is Hangman not due a win over Swerve.
yeah, that's
So yeah, and then you could argue then that it's too quick to take the title off of Hangman at Grand Slam, assuming that's the route. And actually, you make a good point. So I would have to say that Swerve wins this one and loses to Hangman. We don't know that Hangman's going all out, but from a storyline logical sense purpose, it was an easy one to slot straight in as your main event for All Out because the story has already wrote itself. It's already there. Hangman, I don't think has ever beaten him that I can remember. And certainly the last two matches were all Swerve. So for me, I say Swerve wins, retires Danielson, and I know it kind of makes the retirement look crap, but Hangman takes it at All Out, and then joins the Elite at the end.
see, I don't mind any of that. I don't think any of it will happen because I've convinced myself what's going to happen is what I'm going to say next. But I do like it, and this is what I love doing this show. I think Danielson's going to win. I
Okay.
just I can't accept that his career's finished, that he's going to retire. I think he's too good. I think he fought back from too much. And I know that he's got legitimate injuries. Um, I know there's stuff they'll play into because he's wrestling. But going back to what he said about going home and being with his family and all that, I just think it's all, not a ruse as such. I think there is elements of truth in it.
Yeah.
But he loves wrestling so much, and he's at the top of his game for me still. Um, I don't think he's hanging on to his physical health
No.
quite as much as they're letting on.
Okay.
Because if there was any serious uh, issue, they he would have stepped away. They wouldn't let him compete in matches. I know they've kind of protected him a little bit, and we haven't seen him in too many matches recently, but for me, part of that as well is just wishful thinking, to be honest. I can't
Yeah.
accept that Danielson's career is, and I feel similar to when Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, when Shawn Michaels put his career on the line, and when Undertaker won, I just couldn't accept that that was Shawn Michaels' his last match. And I know he came back and he had,
Yeah.
we spoke about it the other day, the Saudi Arabia or,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the suit, yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I thought at the time Sean still had a lot more, and I didn't actually think he was going to retire. And I think going back to that time, given the fact Undertaker had won the year before and Sean had put his career on the line, similar situation to this, I thought fully expected Sean to win. So I'm backing Danielson. Um, I think whatever happens, it's going to be either a great moment for the fans to see Danielson crowned champion,
Mhm.
or a real like emotional, still kind of real nice way to end if it is the end of his career, because it'll be a full standing ovation. There'll be a lot of tears, a lot of emotion, probably a lot of people coming out to the ring to thank him. So I think they can get away with ending the pay-per-view either way, regardless who wins. But in terms of the future stuff that's happening, um, I think Hangman isn't going to win the gauntlet,
Okay.
and I think he's going to be like furious. He's already God, we've seen him like he's been pushed to the
Yeah.
limit. And I think that could spill over into the main event. And I actually think that Hangman could have involvement in costing Swerve the title. Uh,
Interesting.
although, kind of, if Hangman is going after Swerve, you would think that he would want him to be the champion. So he's got a chance to become the champion again. I think that's such a secondary thing for Hangman now. Just the rage and how he's got, and just it's just so personal with Swerve. I actually don't think the title is what's driving him in any way. I think it's just revenge and he just wants to take Swerve out. And I think actually by costing Swerve the title, that makes it even more personal between those two, which will lead to an all-out lights out match, like a non-sanctioned match, which will main event all out. I
Yeah.
think Danielson will win the title, and I think he'll defend the title at all out against the winner of the gauntlet, which I think will be Ricochet.
Okay.
So although Ricochet, Danielson, and what a match that would be, it's
Mm.
not ideal for Ricochet to lose a world title match so early into his AEW career. I think
Yeah.
if you're going to lose to anybody in a one-on-one match, the world champion is about as good as he can get. And we've seen Danielson when he joined the company, he lost to world champion at the time. I think it was Hangman, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Uh, went to a time limit draw with Kenny. Whether he goes to a time limit draw with Danielson, I don't know. We're getting way, way ahead of ourselves. But that's the way I see. I see being Ricochet, Danielson all out, and the lights out match closing the show. Um, and then I also then I see Brian winning that, and Brian Danielson up against Darby at Arthur Ashe. Then that's the interesting one, really, for me. Whether they go in a new direction on whether it's Darby Allin's time, and whether Danielson is going to be with the company long term. And regardless of all the speculation and working without a contract, and the injuries and going home to be a dad, um, I think he would do some. I don't think he'll relinquish the title. I don't think he'll give it up. I think he will lose the title. It's just whether he loses it as soon as Arthur Ashe, which is around the end of September, or whether he goes on to something like, is it Wrestle Dream later on in the year?
There's Restful Dream. There's obviously World's End as well.
Yeah, I think Wrestle Dream would be, and I don't know if that's in Seattle, um,
I'll find out.
but I think it was last year. So if it is, even if it's not, I mean, finishes in his career in Seattle would perhaps be a fitting way to go. So again, I'm hoping we've got Danielson for years and he doesn't, lose his career. Even if he loses the title, I'm still hoping that we get to see him from time to time and he still features matches. I think they've done so much with Nigel McGuinness. It,
Yeah.
it I think surely at some point, I think Nigel came out the other week and said he's got a few matches in him. He's in good nick. He's got it in the locker if he needs it. So You have to think that they have that match or they pay that off at some point as well. So for all of those reasons, I'm expecting Danielson to become the new AEW champion at All In on Sunday.
Interesting. The Wrestle Dream he is in Washington. It's in Tacoma at the Tacoma Dome.
Yeah, that's where he's from, innit? Washington.
Yeah, so it is in Washington. So you may be right there, Dave. We've only got a few days to find out. Put it that
Yeah,
way.
I'm not that right that often. I do now and again. Yeah, pull out a pearl. I mean, we don't even know that Ricochet's even going to be in the match, let alone win it. So there's a lot of variables in my little kind of fantasy booking scenario there. But yeah, part of me wanting Danielson to win is just me being unable to accept that his career would be over. I know it's wrestling and people retire and come back all the time. Um, just given that link as well to Shawn Michaels, obviously he trained him.
Yeah,
He's from the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy.
yeah,
I think if Danielson were to retire on Sunday, then he would retire. I don't think we would see him back next year in a match. Um, I think he would transition to a producer role. I don't think he'd go back to WWE and would, you know, he'd be wrestling there. I think AEW is where he wants to be. Um, I just hope that's in a wrestling capacity for the foreseeable, at least. Hopefully a couple of more years, but yeah, I'm just a fan.
yeah. I can totally understand. I would agree as well to that. To see Danielson, I'm just going for it. I just think storyline wise, for me, it just makes sense to swerve Hangman because it's just the easiest thing to book in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And
and Swerve's been an incredible champion, and
yeah,
in many ways, I'd be disappointed if it was anybody else. I perhaps would be rooting for Swerve to retain, and I really like the booking of Swerve lately
yeah,
because I think he did a lot of his best work as a real heel. You know what we saw with Hangman. Hangman's the babyface, really.
yeah.
The way they've managed to spin that Hangman's a crazy person, and he's the heel, and Swerve's more of a fan favorite. I think that's been fascinating. But what they've allowed to do is let Swerve be Swerve regardless of whether the fans love it, hate it, whether they boo, cheer, whether they're rooting for his opponents or not. It's just the best version of Swerve that we've seen, and that's going to resonate with the crowd. So, and it resonates with me as a fan. So certainly, if Swerve does drop the chart, there will be some. I will be disappointed in some respects that he's no longer the champion. Um, Danielson's not won gold in the company,
No.
and travesty is probably a bit much because you know, I think Danielson at times he probably loses matches when really he probably talks Tony Khan into bucket, letting the other person go over him. Given the stage he's at in his career, he's lost a lot of big matches, but I can't help but to feel that that may be because at some point he was going to get his moment, and I'm hoping that moment is on Sunday evening.
We will find out in just a few short days' time. I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm looking forward to seeing my first AEW event. Really can't wait for Sunday to get here. Looking forward to seeing the Bullet Club before the War Dogs, Driller Mahoney and Gabe Kidd will be meeting them before we go. Actually, Trent Seven's on after that at that place, but we just decided to go and do the Bullet Club on its own instead. But Dave, I will see you Sunday. We will see 50,000 other people on Sunday in that ring. We're looking forward to it. Good luck to AEW. You won't need it. It's going to be a great, great event. But you have been watching the All In Prediction Show on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We will be at All In with some pictures for you all over the weekend. But Dave, I will see you Sunday. But it is an AEW show, which means you, my friend, get the usual to serenade everyone away.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned Kenny Omega. I
No.
know Kenny's a while off yet, but
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see him at some point. But for now, oh man, I've lost it.
What?
I've lost it.
It's time to
Oh,
bid you.
yeah, it's stage fright. It's time to bid you all adieu, goodbye, mwah, and good night. Bang
I'll get some new stuff.
on the
Stay
spot.
elite, everybody. Bye bye.